Good afternoon, Commodore fans. Alongside Joey Dwyer, I'm Billy Derrick, and we're back with another last-minute thoughts. This week, it's Alcorn State, 6:30 kickoff at First Bank Stadium on a beautiful day, and it's going to get cooler. So if you're thinking about coming out, you should. It's going to be a beautiful night for football, and obviously, Joey, for Vanderbilt, the challenge is avoiding complacency. And we haven't seen, they're not facing adversity this week, but I'm still intrigued, like we talked about in the pregame show, to see just how this team comes out. Do they come out flat? Human nature says there will probably be some of that. But I think overall, you want to see this team come out with the same energy and go 1-0 this week. I mean, that's what they've been talking about. And you can tell there's a new mindset, there's a new mentality. Obviously, Brian Longwell mentioned that this is a statement game. So did Stephen Hubbard. So they want to come out and prove that last week wasn't a fluke. I think we talked about it wasn't a fluke. I think most people around the country kind of know Vanderbilt's going to be improved this year and they'll be pesky. But I think tonight is an opportunity to go out and dominate again and just reaffirm that because week 2 games is where you see teams improve the most, I think, and everyone knows that. But yeah, it's just a good opportunity for this team to come out and reaffirm what they did last week.
Yeah, they affirmed kind of their vision last week. Now it's time to affirm that this football team is more than a vision, and it's a team that can consistently produce a result like that. I think last week we got some optimism that they can probably do that. We saw the offensive line was much better, as Blake Frommang told us a couple of days ago. The defensive line seemed to be more in the game. They rushed the passer last week. Now it's time to see all that come to fruition again. It's time to see their weapons make some plays. And I think today, if they can go up on Alcorn early and maybe get some guys in the game who hadn't gotten the game last week. Clark mentioned that they want to do that. Jalen Lackey, probably a guy who's going to get in the game a little bit more. Maybe Tristan Brown, Joseph McVay get in the game and make some plays. Maybe you see something at quarterback. I think it could be a really interesting week for Vanderbilt, and I don't know that it comes off as the most interesting week. Obviously, a team that lost 41-3 to UAB last week, didn't have more than 60 passing yards, played 3 quarterbacks. Not a team that you look at as a team that is a huge start to come in and beat Vanderbilt, but I think they've got to be ready to go. And if they are ready to go, it tells me a lot about the mental makeup of the team. And we talked a lot about that. Even throughout media day, we talked about how Clark Lee thought they had a better mental makeup. And we kind of saw that throughout camp. Now it's time to continue to kind of affirm some of the things we saw last week. And if they come out, it looks like Alabama A&M last year, where they come out sluggish in the first half and they don't really look ready to play. And the only reason they win is because they have more bodies on the line of scrimmage. Then I think it's going to be an interesting post-game show. But today, I think Vanderbilt's got a chance to come out and prove that it's made of the right stuff and it's not just a more talented team.
There's not much room for a big step forward tonight, but there's plenty of room for a step back, right? And that's what you can't afford. I think if you're Vanderbilt, now you can win the game and maybe you don't look great, and but it's still a win. But if you do come out and dominate Alcorn, that's what you should have done. So again, this is a week where Vanderbilt can lose some steam. Which happens. I mean, as we record this, Notre Dame's down to Northern Illinois. Like there's it happens in college football. So I think at the end of the day, if you're Clark Lee, this is a new challenge for this team. But I mean, they went through it last year. That Alabama A&M game, that first half was pretty atrocious, as most of the season was. But I just think you look at it, Joey, and no matter who you play, like whether it's Alcorn State or Missouri, like this team and their makeup and their mindset should not change. And I mean, I sense, we got a question on the board. Do you sense that this team is going to come out ready to play and has looked good? I mean, we don't go to practice, but do you get the sense that they'll be ready to play and come out and dominate? I think by now I do. That was asked, I think early in the week, but I think by now, just whether it's Hubbard or Longwell, like you said, I think there's enough leadership on this team for fans to come into this game confident that they'll take care of business. And last week was an example that Alcorn State is not very good. They didn't score a touchdown. Their leading passer was 1 for 2 with 31 yards. So, you should dominate. I think, and I'm not going to be too worried about the scoreboard tonight, but I'm going to be interested to see how much energy they have, how much are they playing with aggression, and are they playing in the same way they did last week? So that's the biggest thing I'm looking for. And also, of course, Pavia in the offense. Like, are they able to come out here and dominate on the run, in the run game? Like, I don't think Pavia, he doesn't have to throw a pass tonight. and Vanderbilt would be fine. But you have to work that in, right? Like we talked about Cole Spence. Some of the younger receivers, I'm really intrigued to see them, whether it's Joseph McVay. He's kind of my pick to click tonight. I think McVay has a touchdown tonight for Vanderbilt. But
you're just trying to get a Twitter clip for later tonight, aren't you?
Hey, we're all about the Twitter clips, Joe.
Apparently so.
But no, the younger guys, and maybe not even the younger weapons, just guys that didn't have a catch last week, whether it was Cole Spence or I thought Sherrill. He was somewhat involved, but Skinner was obviously the headliner last week. Darian Wiley, and what do we see from Darian Wiley tonight? So I think there's a lot of things offensively I'm still looking to learn. Defensively, I think, at least from my perspective, they kind of are what they are. I'm still looking for some younger players to play at different positions tonight. But I look offensively. Who else do they try to get involved, and how strategic are they with keeping everybody making sure everybody stays healthy for some bigger games later in the season?
Yeah, I think Cole Spence is the one I look at, and obviously I don't think was targeted last week. That's a guy who's going to have to be a focal point for their offense moving forward, especially as they face bigger and badder defensive lines. Cole Spence got to be a guy they can turn to as a safety blanket. Tonight could be a big step in getting him involved and maybe making him more of a piece moving forward. I think it's interesting. Maybe look at the backup running backs. Can A.J. Newberry break a big one? Can Monty Jones make some plays? I think the offense is a question mark tonight, just to see kind of how it all comes together. And Darian Wiley making his debut as well, I think, is an interesting storyline to follow. I just go back to another storyline. This is the first time that this team has really had this situation where they're coming into a game expected to kind of follow up what they've done in the past. Last year they come into Alabama A&M. Hawaii was not a game that they really proved a whole lot in. This team has always kind of taken on that underdog mentality, the mentality that nobody thinks.
Can they maintain that this week?
Nobody thinks we're going to be any good. Nobody expects anything from Vanderbilt. People are expecting stuff from this team now. I don't know if anybody's expecting them to be an excellent team at this point, like an 8 or 9 win team, but people are expecting something from you now. How do you do it now that you're not the underdog and now that there's some pressure on you, Billy? I think this is an interesting test for them, and I think they're way better at most position groups than Alcorn State, but it is an interesting new challenge for this team that I don't know if they've had before. And Brian Longwell said on Thursday to me, you want to make it a statement game, and I don't know that's a statement to the whole country, but I think it's a statement inside their locker room that they're made of the right things and they can handle a game like this with some expectation going in.
Pressure is a privilege, Joey.
You were sitting on that one. I saw you were freaking smart. You were sitting on that one, weren't you?
Pressure is a privilege. It means things are expected of you. I like how you put that in, and that wasn't the case at all last year. And even in 2022, like I know late in the season, obviously you weren't on the beat yet, but they knocked off Florida. And even before that, they knocked off Kentucky. But even late in that season, it was like, okay, those games could have been somewhat fluky. Do we really expect things from them? And turns out most people didn't. Vanderbilt came out and lost 56-0 to Tennessee. Can they avoid that? That's not going to happen this week. But here in a couple weeks, Missouri, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but tonight is kind of a start of that. Like a 56-0 correlation to this week would be, I don't know, what was 28-14, like just something really ugly, and maybe the defense struggles and you're sloppy offensively. I think you have to come out tonight, and you don't even have to. The statement could be overblown, but I like how you put that within the locker room. You got to maintain that confidence and that belief. I mean, last week did a lot, I would imagine, for belief and confidence in the locker room, but this week is not that much different, and it's the Nick Saban effect. Like it does not matter who you're playing. Your focus should not change, and I'm intrigued. I think that's a new word. Late last year, I don't think we were intrigued by much.
No, we were not intrigued by much.
That's a positive in and of itself that we were intrigued to come out here and see what happens.
Yeah, Billy, give me 3 guys you're watching for tonight. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay. Number one, I think Joseph McVay is a guy that I saw a lot from in practice, and he was a guy that would pop.
He'd make big plays.
Yeah, and in the scrimmage, he had a touchdown, and he's different than Tristan Brown. Brown is, I say gadget, that's almost disrespectful, but I think McVay is slightly more explosive and can make plays down the field. So I'll say Joseph McVay on offense. Number 2, Drew Dickey. I think we're going to see Drew Dickey tonight. If Pavia goes down, he's the guy that's going to be running this offense.
I would assume so,
I think,
right?
Yeah. And so I'll put Drew Dickey in there. And then I'll throw one out defensively. I'll go Jalen Lackey. Lackey's a guy that they're prepping right now. They're getting him ready for SEC action. Tonight's going to be a big night for that. Just repetitions. It's kind of I say inter-squad scrimmage, but I mean they scrimmage each other, and this is an opportunity for you to go out there and just play well. Play well. So I would go Lackey defensively. On offense, Joseph McVay, and then who was my third? I'm already forgetting. Drew Dickey. I would honestly place Drew Dickey most important. I think for me.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the quarterback position looks like because they have Johnson listed as the 2. Obviously, has heard some contrary things to that behind closed doors, so I'm interested to see kind of how it all comes out. And even Johnson, I think, is going to be really interesting to see. Can they put him in some packages, or can he run the offense to a high level? Can he be a guy that comes out and proves some things tonight? Because wasn't a great camp for him. I don't know that he got a lot of great buzz, but he can maybe start to generate some of that tonight with a good night. Tristan Brown, another guy I'm watching. I think their freshman receivers are interesting. Dante Carter didn't grade out super well last week. I think that's an interesting one too. And then 2 of their mainstays, Cole Spence, obviously didn't make a big impact last week. Langston Patterson graded out poorly last week. I think we know what they've got there to an extent, but interesting to see if they can rebound this week. And I don't know if Vanderbilt's in a position where, as a whole, it has to rebound, but I want to see if those few guys can maybe get more involved. But this is a game I'm interested in just to kind of see what they're made of. And I think we're going to be talking about a win in some regard tonight, but I'm interested to see kind of what form and fashion that comes in. And, again, what is this team made of? Was that confidence kind of just fueled by the results, or is that a confidence that this team has had and will continue to have regardless of result?
Should be interesting. Vanderbilt, Alcorn State tonight, 6:30 kickoff here at First Bank Stadium. Stay tuned for our coverage tonight and also after the game and throughout the rest of the week. So thanks for checking out, everybody.